Hello Space Cats, guess what? I'm better! For the last 10 days or so I've had the mother of all viruses. Not COVID, not flu, just a boring old cold virus, but goodness me did it knock me for 6. And I'm still a little bit squeaky, so you'll have to excuse me if I'm sounding a bit croaky. But I've had this idea for doing a piece of art that was inspired by something a bit strange. And that's really what I had in mind, was to make a video on things that inspire you, that are just come out of seemingly nowhere. I intended to shoot this very video about 9 days ago, but I just wasn't up to it. My voice was funny, anyway, needless to say, it's taken me until now to get it done. I just want to mention though, the t-shirt. Yes, whilst I've been in my sick bed, I have actually been doing some work. I did some new merch, so that should be arriving in my shop fairly soon if you want to have a look below the YouTube video. They're all Woodland Friends related. This one is the foxy one, and I've also got a squirrel one, and I'm looking forward to doing some badgers and maybe some dormice and things like that. So keep your eyes peeled for that series. Getting back to the job in hand, I was inspired by some curtains that I bought from our local hospice shop, and I just loved the print on them, and whether or not they were going to fit my windows didn't matter. I just wanted to buy them, but actually they are the perfect fit. I don't, honestly, if I'd measured them, if I'd measured the window and gone and looked for something, I wouldn't have found it. I decided to do a dogs in the park picture. And the other thing that's been inspiring me lately is I've been watching somebody who does a lot more collage. And I started with collage. My first 2 books were collage based. But the person I've been looking at on YouTube, and I'll link her below, does collage in a different way to a lot of other ways that I've seen people approaching the subject. I know that when I was doing collage before, I used to paint an entire character or part of a scene, and then I'd place it together once I'd finished it. And the other way that I've used collage before is to find bits of paper that I really like or textures that I like and use those. But this way is you start the process way before you think that you need to, and that is with thinking about the textures that you're going to use in your picture. And you end up painting pieces of paper that are going to represent those areas which you are going to use your textures in. Then when you come to cut the shapes out, they are the right colour and the right texture. This is completely new to me, so we're feeling our way together. What I'd be really interested in knowing is if you've watched some of my art processes before, whether or not you think that collage still is in my style. So normally I would use Inktense pencils and watercolor paint and a black outliner. In this case I have used torn paper, cut paper that's either watercolor or gouache, and I've cut those out, and then I've used Derwent colouring pencils for doing the details. So please let me know in the comments whether you think that the final piece of this picture, when you see it finished, whether it looks like other pictures I do, whether or not it feels like it's done by me, whether it's the same sort of style. And we've been joined by my little buddy. Yes, it's Maisie. She's the best girl. She's been to the vets this morning for, she has to go about every 5 weeks. I won't tell you why because she gets embarrassed about it. But whilst she was there, she did have her dew claw trimmed. Oh, sorry bud. She had her dew claws trimmed and one of them bled. So I'm feeling a bit sad for her today, so she's having extra cuddles and lots of fuss. So she's going to join me on this intrepid little adventure. I videoed the process yesterday whilst the sun was out. Today it's really gloomy, which is why the lighting is very different. I've just got all my lights on. If you're willing to join me, let's have a look at how it turns out. I'm starting with a rough drawing so that I know where the parts of the picture are going to go, and then drawing and cutting out the main character. And because this is the most important part of the picture, I'm going to cut bits of it out separately, so things that I can put make into sections, I'm going to cut these little bits out separately on their individual pieces of textured paper. So it makes sense really to cut them out separately. Not that bit of paper, but these I painted onto, it's just normal copier paper like you use in a photocopier or a printer, and then time to cut out the first bits. Cutting it out roughly to start with and then going in with a bit more detail, and I finish it off with a pair of tiny nail scissors if I need to, like around the ears here. There's the little ear. I wanted to make some of it a bit different to that texture of the main body, so he's got some spotty bits as well. So that I can move it around the paper, I'm sticking the individual parts on now, but I'm not sticking the dog down to the background yet, because I'd still like to move him around and find out the best place for him. The eyes are really important. Where best to put the eyes? I find this when I'm drawing and painting as well, and I tend to go for eyes that are fairly close together and about halfway up the face. This is going to be a tree trunk, but I decided to cut it into strips. They looked nicer if they weren't in the right order, I thought. And then on to what the actual leaves of the trees were going to look like. I cut out 3 to compare, but as usual it's always the last one that's the best. So I used that one in the end after giving it a really good check through, and then I cut round the outside so it was a bit more tree shaped. And then it's time for some grass, so I tore these strips because I thought it gave it a nice rough edge, like he's running through some longer grass. And then it is time to stick the little fella down. I wanted him to be looking like he's jumping up towards something. So that's why he's not level. The sky was a bit boring being so blue, so I cut out some different cloud textures, and then trying to decide which ones to use. I was trying to figure out whether to use 2 clouds or 1, but I ended up just going with the smallest one. And then time for some gulls. Now, I think these herring gulls are pretty much all over the world, and I actually really like making them. I like painting them and I like collaging them because they're such a simple shape. Well, I really like that indigo colour for his wings. And then for the thing that he's chasing, no, he's not chasing the gulls, he's chasing a frisbee! everything is stuck down. It's time to do some details. So whipping out the old pencils, and actually I have used a lot of the Derwent colouring pencils here, but I think my favourite are the Stabilo triangle pencils. They're meant for little kids who can't hold a pencil properly. Guess I probably fall into that category. I've got 3 colours, but I might purchase some more, I think. The thing about these Stabilo pencils is that they give a really good colour, really good coverage. So yeah, maybe I'm going to use a few more of those instead of the colouring pencils. I'm not being sponsored, but you know, Stabilo, if you want to get in touch with me, you know what I'm saying? Wink wink, nudge nudge. Say no more, Rodney. This is my favourite bit, doing all the little details. See what you think. Is it my style, or is it a new me? Don't forget to have a look at the Woodland Friends merch. At the moment I've got a 3/4 length sleeve, and I've also got a short sleeve, and I've also got some mugs and some stickers, die cut stickers. Also, shameless plug, my Make a Picture Book course is also still linked below if you want to have a look at it and see my whole process for making picture books. I've had a new book idea which again came from a weird inspiration, and I think I'm contemplating whether or not to do it in this style, using this kind of collage to make that picture book. Anyway, that's to come in the future. I'm off to think about dormice and badgers. I will see you next time. No.